Welcome to Rosh Hashana, before Rosh Hashana, part 1. Going to be studying Masechta Rosh Hashana, that's the tractate of Mishna that deals with Rosh Hashana and a range of other topics. Use the text that's provided on the email, and we're going to begin with Masechta Rosh Hashana, Perek Rishon, in the first chapter, Mishna Aleph, the first Mishnah. It's interesting to note that the term Rosh Hashana is not a biblical term. The Torah does not make reference to the festival that we call Rosh Hashana with the word Rosh Hashana. It's just a festival on the 7th month on the first day. The term Rosh Hashana only appears once in Tanakh, and in fact there it's a reference to Yom Kippur, meaning the beginning of the year in general. The Mishnah tells us that there's more than one Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana means the beginning of a cycle. When a cycle ends and a new cycle begins, that's a Rosh Hashana. And the Mishnah tells us there are 4 Rosh Hashanas, and each Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of a cycle for something different. And in this Mishnah, of course, the Mishnah will deal with our Rosh Hashanah as well, meaning the Yontif that we refer to as Rosh Hashanah. Let's begin. Arba Rosh Hashanim Ha'im, the Mishnah says there are 4 Rosh Hashanahs. The first one is Be'echad B'Nisan, on the first day of the month of Nisan, Rosh Hashanah LaMelachim V'L'Regolim. That's a Rosh Hashanah for kings and for festivals. What does this mean? In biblical times, when they had a king, they would sign documents and make reference to the amount of years that that king has been ruling. So the second year of the king, the first year of the king. So if someone became a king in the month of Shvat, for example, 2 months before the month of Nisan, when the first day of Nisan became, that's the end of the cycle, the beginning of a new cycle, and from then on you already write the second year of that particular king, even though that king has really only reigned for 2 months. Also, it's the Rosh Hashanah for festivals, meaning that Pesach, the festival that falls in the month of Nisan, is in fact the beginning of the 3 festivals, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, which has certain halachic ramifications, as the Talmud, as the Gemara explains. Continues the Mishnah with the second Rosh Hashanah. Be'echad be'elul, on the first day of Elul, Rosh Hashanah l'maiser behema. This is a Rosh Hashanah for the mitzvah of tithing the animals. This means that in the time of the temple, when someone farmed and had animals, every 10 animals, the 10th animal had to be dedicated as a sacrifice in the Beis HaMikdash in the temple. However, you only tithe the animals in a group, the group that belonged to the 1 year, which was not mixed with the animals that came from the next year. What is the cutoff date? The 1st of Elul. All the animals before Elul are tithed in one group, the one after Elul in a different group. Rabbi Elazar and Rav Shimon, however, the opinion of Rabbi Elazar and Rav Shimon is that it's Be'echad B'Tishrei. They maintain that the 1st of Tishrei, which is actually our Rosh Hashanah, is in fact the cutoff date for the tithing of the animals, and they have a different opinion. But according to the Mishnah, the first opinion is that the second Rosh Hashanah is the 1st of Elul, which is the Rosh Hashanah of the tithing of the animals. Continues the Mishnah with the third Rosh Hashanah, Be'echad B'Tishrei, the 1st of Tishrei, which is what we call Rosh Hashanah. That's a Rosh Hashanah for many things. First of all, Rosh Hashanah L'Shonim, it's a Rosh Hashanah for years. One interpretation is that this means with the referencing the number of years of a king for non-Jewish kings. Although other opinions say that there's a general reference to it's the beginning of the year, it's when God judges us for the entire year. It's also the Rosh Hashanah V'la Shmitin V'la Yovelos. It's the Rosh Hashanah for the Shemitah, the sabbatical, once in 7 years, the mitzvah of Shemitah begins on Rosh Hashanah and ends the next year at the end of Elul, just before the 1st of Tishrei. And the same thing, V'la Yovelos, the mitzvah of Yovel, which is the mitzvah of the Jubilee year, also begins on Rosh Hashanah. La Netiyah, it's Rosh Hashanah for planting. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that when you plant a tree, you don't eat the fruit for 3 years. However, it doesn't have to be 3 full years. If you did it sometime before Rosh Hashanah, for example, about 6 weeks before, the Gemara says, by the time Rosh Hashanah comes, that is already the beginning of the 2nd year of that tree. The La Yerakes, the 1st of Tishrei, is also the Rosh Hashanah for vegetables. This means we know when you grow vegetables in Eretz Yisrael, you have to tie them. You have to separate Truma, Meiser, various different separations. Now, there also, you don't mix the group of 1 year with the vegetables of the different year. And the way it works is the cutoff, the separation, is the 1st of Tishrei. And then the Mishnah concludes with the 4th Rosh Hashanah. Be'echad B'Shvat, on the 1st of Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Le'ilon, it's the new year of trees. Kedivrei Beis Shammai, that's the opinion of Beis Shammai, the school of Shammai. Beis Hillel Omrim, Beis Hillel say, however, V'chamisha Osaboy, it's the 15th of Shvat. What's the Rosh Hashana of trees? Rosh Hashana of trees is the same thing. First of all, when you grow a tree, you also have to separate the various separations as Truma and Maisa, the tithes, the separation that goes to the Kohen, the Levi. Again, you don't mix the one year for the next. So the Rosh Hashana for trees, either the 1st of Shvat or the 15th of Shvat, we rule that it's the 15th of Shvat, and that's why Tu B'Shvat is the Rosh Hashana of trees. That's the cutoff date, and that separates the trees that have blossomed in the one year from the trees that have blossomed in the next year. Let's continue on to Mishnah Beis, the second Mishnah. The Mishnah tells us, there are 4 times of the year that God judges the world for different things. But Pesach ala Tvua, on Pesach, God judges the world for produce, what kind of produce the world will produce. But Tzeres, on the festival of Shavuos, al Peres Ha'ilon, he judges the world for the fruit of the tree, what kind of fruit the trees will produce. But Rosh Hashana, on Rosh Hashana, what we call Rosh Hashana, that is the general judgment for every person, all human beings. Kol boya oilam oivrin lefonav kivnei morim, all people of the world pass before God as sheep, as flock. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, hayoytzer yachad libam hamevin es kol mahaseyim. It says in Tehillim, God the Creator, He looks at everyone, the hearts of everyone together. He judges us all on Rosh Hashanah. He understands and He scrutinizes all of their deeds. That's the general judgment that happens on Rosh Hashanah. Uvachag, and on Sukkot, nidoinin alamayim, on Sukkot God judges the world for how much rain and water the world will bring and produce. That is the beginning, that's the first 2 Mishnahs. Have a Shana Tova, and looking forward to the next installment, part 2.